Hello guys, and welcome back. Now you're probably wondering what I'm up to now, and bouncing around. I have decided that since I put so much into everything else so far, that what's a little bit more. So basically what I'm going to be doing here is I'm going to cut a big hole in my airplane, and I'm going to stop on the sheeting at this point. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to install the air brakes. And it's kind of funny on this airplane because it wasn't designed to have them. It doesn't need them. But for what we're about to do with the detailing, that would, to me, would just be, this is just the cat's meow to build this into this airplane and actually have them. It looks great, and I'm sure it'll earn some points to have this. And I'm going to be doing gear doors and all kinds of things to this airplane. So details and details and details. So basically what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to cut. I've already marked this out. Now this is 6 inches down to here. And before I cut this and go absolutely crazy, you'll notice it's still on the jig. And it's supported throughout the jig, and it needs to be right here. And this is an area that needs to be treated with kid gloves. So before we cut this, we need to go ahead and build in the framing in here. Once we cut this, we'll frame it out in there, and then we will add another rib around into this, around here. And then I'm going to actually sheet the inside of this whole thing, which it needs to be anyway. So what we're going to do is we're going to build some ribs, and we're going to go ahead and cut this part out only. We're not going to touch that rib. So this is actually going to be probably more or less sacrificed, which is fine. The next thing I will do is I will cut the new door and the backing to it with this, which is 6 inch, and then we will build that into it, and then we will sheet the inside of that cavity and build it up around in here to get this, and we'll put some gussets in under here underneath this rib, and maybe add a couple here and here, because we're going to be cutting a lot of this away. Now what I'm going to use for my hinges is some 3/16 aircraft plywood, and I will cut these out, and they will sit in about right in here. I need to get in on the drawings and do some measuring, and I'll let you know where they're at. They're probably going to be here and here. Now this is a crude caveman mock-up. So basically what I'm going to be doing is these hinges do not come straight out, and basically what they will do is they got to sweep down, and if you get them, I'm guessing it to be about 3 degrees, and then they will come out like this. They're not going to be very long. They're only going to be probably 5 inches long on that particular point, and we'll glue them in and they'll be fine. Then we'll sheet over them and make that part, make the hinges like they are, because there's a lot of detail that goes into those, and there's a lot of really cool stuff that goes on the inside. There's some air tanks and air lines, stuff like that, and I'll use aluminum rods to make those. But and we'll use some siren and some other parts. We'll be doing a lot of painting and a lot of little things. So when they are open, you're seeing actual working mechanisms. Now, the air brakes on this airplane are not huge, and so they will work. And it would, it actually, they were on the airplane for when it went into a dive to slow it down, because it was extremely fast in a dive. And so the airplane is scale, and so it makes more sense for me to make them, and to activate them I will use a lineal type servo, the same one that I will use to activate the canopy. And so while I got one side going, I'll get one side done, then I'll go and duplicate exactly the same thing on the other side. So I'm going to cut a hole in my airplane, and the reason I'm doing it now is because I want to sheet everything to it, and I'm going to do this next sheet in a 4-inch piece that goes all the way back to here. And then once these are done and I can come back around, then I will entertain the thought of separating the airplane. And these are parts that are going to be easily reached to get the bolts in should you have to work on them if you're using a 2-piece fuselage. Now, if you guys that are out there using a 1-piece, you're going to find out really fast that this is not going to be an easy task to do. So, but it shouldn't be too tough. I mean, it's just make it work. And so there is an angle on this one that will go, and we're going to have to find that. And they're not square. They actually do come up. They're 6 inches here and 5.5 inches back here, which is about, believe it or not, I actually do measure out what I'm doing. And so you're going to be looking at right here is going to be right at about 4.5 inches. It's 6 inches to there. So, and it'll be 6 inches on a lot of these areas. So you got to kind of look at what you're trying to accomplish on this. Now I'm going to go and I'm going to look at the drawings again and find out what is more aesthetically pleasing, because these are kind of a critical part in here. I measured them down approximately 3 inches, and it's level from this line at 3 inches up here, and it's completely level. So you want to be checking out where that line is going to go. Now I thought they went back here after measuring it off. It does actually come off from the line that comes up there from the very tip of that is 5 inches. Is right at 5 inches, which is right here from there down. And it actually does line up with this frame, luckily. So I think one of the biggest things is just kind of hitting it and then getting the nerve up to cut a hole in your airplane. If not, it's easily repaired. It should turn out to be too much of a can of worms, but it's really not no big deal. Once I have this done and I get some gussets put in it in here and in here, then I will cut this out after I've already, once I've got this frame redone, and I may use some plywood on that and make it really cool and see where we're at on that. But I'm thinking that 2 strips of balsa down here will be more than sufficient from here and here, and balsa right in there, because this is extremely rigid and I've glued the hell out of this thing, so it's not like it's going to be done and with this being sheeted on the back, because you're going to have to do it anyway, and sheeting it on these frames in here is going to add all that rigidity that we really need in there, especially once we have that frame installed. So I'm actually entertaining the thought of sheeting it first, and this is something that I will wet form, and all of this is something that I use every time I do this, because this stuff will damn near bend on inside of itself, and then I can actually go in and clamp it. This is fairly straight in this area right in here, but it does need to be done, and cutting out new ribs for it is no problem to do this. This is going to be a fairly light piece. It'll be 3/32 balsa, and I will even up the frames. I'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I'll put 5 frames in it, and then I will sheet the back of it. and then we'll sheet the front. So it's going to use a bit of balsa to do this, but it's really no big deal. So we will be back as soon as I carve a hole in the airplane. And we may go ahead and sheet this and then build everything to that new sheeting on the back. And that's going to give us all that rigidity that we're going to lose from right here and down in here. But it's also going to be a deal. And basically what I'm talking about doing, let me find a, this is what I'm talking about doing. This, just for sake's argument, is coming up and actually adding a piece in the back like so. And it's as simple as that, and gluing everything to it. So I think that's going to be the way I do it, and it'll it'll be actually very easy to do. But here's the thing, you'll want to do this now, just in order to make sure that you have all this done. You're going to want to make sure that you have this done now while you can still reach in here. And that'll give you an opportunity to come in and do some cutting carefully and everything you're going to need to do to get your hinges and your parts made. And I'll show you exactly what I'm making, and I'll show you how they work before I actually install them, because the bottom one you'll be able to put in, but the rest of these is going to be kind of a you know what. But anyway, I don't foresee it being a huge problem. Once you get one done, you're going to be able to go through to the next one, and it's really no big deal. So anyway, I'll see you guys in a minute after I carve a hole in my airplane.